discovers all the ways that spinach is damaging your body. It's like that doesn't make for a good 6 o'clock news interview.
It doesn't make for a good product either.
Hmm.
You know, if you can say that things are good for you, then you're sort of heroic because you're finding the solution, not identifying the real problem underneath. If you identify a real problem underneath, you've also found the solution. That's too easy. And that puts the power back in the hands of the consumer rather than making us the hero that's going to provide you the proper drug or supplement or blender to solve your problems.
Mm. That's interesting. And yeah, I'm trying to put this in the context of, an Oprah segment where she's talking about the superfoods, eat the blueberries or eat the I don't know, Garcinia Cambogia or whatever it happens to be. Take all this kind of stuff. It wouldn't, you're right, it wouldn't work so well if she's got someone on there that would be like, yeah, well, you've got to avoid spinach. These are the reasons, it makes her a much more disinteresting segment.
Yeah, where it is like you say, it's very sexy to get the secret answer for how you can add something. We love to add and pile on and add more things. And this is the subtraction deal. Like, oh, simplify your life. Don't worry about all that spinach and it'll be better.
It's kind of this just this human thing. If it's not complicated, then it's not working.
Right, right.
Nothing worth having comes easy. So it's obviously not just taking things out.
Right. And there's the flip side of that is that because we've so hyped up the idea that there might be something great in plants, people now worry about taking out. They worry that subtraction really is a loss of something. They think they're losing out on something. There's absolutely nothing in spinach that you need if you take spinach out. There's plenty of other ways to get whatever it is you thought was there without the oxalates and the other problems in spinach. There's histamines and there's just all kinds of issues with spinach that isn't doing you any good, including the very poor bioavailability of the supposed lutein and folate and things that are supposed to be in there that disappears quickly. When you pick spinach, it needs to stay very cold and not be too old before you eat it. Otherwise, those nutrients just kind of go away. And the sad part, the real secret in the produce aisle is that half of the produce that's coming home to your house is headed for the garbage can or the compost pile because you don't have the time to finally cook it.
That's right. It ends up becoming just an exercise in donating your money to the supermarket, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about your book?
Well, Toxic Superfoods attempts to answer all the questions that came up. I started teaching free, just little for your information. There's a free lecture at the health food store tomorrow night. And I would show up and I would prepare foods and make low oxalate foods and bring visual aids and raw squashes and low oxalate foods and say, hey, there's stuff you can eat. I'm not just subtracting. I'm saying, look, there's foods you can eat. This is what happened to me. It's worth a try. So I've got questions back from people like, oh my God, I thought plants were so good. What about this? What about this? Why this? And so I attempted to cover soup to nuts in the book in as conversational way as I could, based on the research answers that I found to those questions, including my ideas about why we don't hear about this topic now, why we haven't, why it remains unpopular, but more to the point, what is it doing to us? So I try to explain why it's too much, what's too much, how the body handles it, how, why it's worse when you have leaky gut and how it can create more of the same. If you have kidney problems or a family history of kidneys, you may have trouble excreting it. So you may even be more able to get sick on this stuff quicker in a bigger way for various reasons we do and don't know. And then what is all this stuff happening in the physiology? And oh, by the way, there's plenty of evidence, none of it seriously followed up on, of this bioaccumulation problem where we are collecting oxalates in our tissues and everybody's pretending that's not happening. So there's a whole chapter on that accumulation problem and the deaccumulation problem. Uh-oh, now you've got to undo this mess. That's a big, ugly mess that becomes a chronic disease. And so I explain all that in part 1. And then in part 2 of the book, I get into, well, what do you do about it? and how you might want to come back with this consciousness, learn your worst food, start living without that one, and then gradually work your way out of what I call the danger zone, which is at a level of intake for some of us that's so bad that we're really sick on it. And we are in danger of